My wife is a cheater. She panicked and started begging for forgiveness, but she will have to face the consequences she deserves. I found out about my future ex-wife's affair about 7 months ago. I went through all of it: emotional pain, denial, suffering, attempts to earn her attention. For a long time, I was in deep depression. I never confronted her directly about it, but she must have known that I understood everything. I suppose she simply didn't care. About 23 months ago, I just got tired of everything. Tired of her, tired of our marriage. I simply stopped caring. I completely disconnected from our relationship and started preparing for divorce and the new life that awaited me. I avoided my wife as much as possible, tried not to be at home when she was there. I didn't engage in conversations. To her questions, I answered only yes, no, maybe, or I don't know. I even left bills from divorce lawyers in plain sight. She must have understood that I had emotionally checked out and was preparing for divorce. Even the kids asked me about it. Even they could see what was happening. I even gave that speech. We both love you. This is not your fault. Sometimes adults just can't be together. My wife was in the room and must have heard me talking to the kids. She didn't comment or object, and I took her silence as agreement. A few days ago, I ran into a woman I knew back in school before I met my wife. There was always some kind of chemistry between us, some attraction. We always flirted and touched each other but never crossed the line. Let's call her Monica, because I think she looks like Monica Bellucci. Monica and her family moved away before I ever worked up the courage to do anything. I regretted it for a long time. But back then, I was young, shy, and stupid. I hadn't thought about Monica in many years. I hadn't seen her in forever. But as soon as we met again, the tension between us was obvious, even stronger than before. The conversation was light and effortless. She invited me on a date herself. I explained the situation with my wife to her. I said that I wanted to be officially divorced before I started dating. I wasn't going to cheat. Monica respected that. She gave me her number and said to call her once I finished everything I needed to take care of. She said she had never been married and that she was very interested in getting to know me again. I was very interested too. That meeting inspired me to finally talk to my wife and officially start the divorce and asset division process. I was genuinely happy when I came home to wait for my wife. I was literally smiling like an idiot when I asked her to sit down and said we needed to talk. I told her that I had known about her affair for a long time. I said I assumed she knew that I knew, especially given that I had emotionally checked out of our relationship for the past 3 months, and it didn't seem to bother her. So I said that I wanted to start seeing someone else and move on with my life. And I ended my speech with the words, "Given everything that's been said, it's time for us to get divorced. Do you agree?" Her reaction was completely different from what I expected. She started crying, and not just crying, but making some kind of desperate, soul-tearing sound. I had never heard anything like it before. She muttered excuses, begged me to give her a second chance, said the affair meant nothing to her, that we could fix everything if we went to couples therapy, and so on. I was somewhat stunned. Apparently, family mattered more to her. If that was the case, then why did she cheat? She must have understood that this would destroy our relationship. Could she really be that stupid? I said that if she truly believed our family and marriage needed saving, the time for that was 7 months ago, before she started cheating. Now it's too late. Everything is broken, and it can't be fixed. I didn't think we had problems in our marriage. She didn't talk to me, and I can't read minds. So whatever it was, I never had a chance to fix it. If she started this affair, then she clearly thought something was wrong or missing. Something so serious that it couldn't be solved by simply talking to me. That something must have been so awful that she was willing to risk our children growing up in a broken family. If not, then why did she do it? I calmly and clearly explained to her that there is no way to undo sleeping with that man, and no way to undo the pain and suffering she caused me. That pain pushed me into a state where I stopped caring. More precisely, I don't hate her. I'm just maintaining politeness so that we can properly co-parent our children in the future. I said that I don't believe she ever truly cared about me. A person who cares even a little about another person wouldn't cause them this kind of pain. They wouldn't betray them the way she betrayed me. Her words about loving me mean nothing and deserve no trust because her actions prove the opposite. At that point, she completely lost the ability to speak coherently. I couldn't understand a single word she was trying to say. In the end, I had to call her sister because honestly, I wasn't going to take care of her. Her sister came, and after I explained what was going on, she took her away. I felt enormous relief when they left, as if for the first time in 7 months. I could breathe normally. I don't know why I'm even writing all this. She should have known this would happen. She probably wanted it. She can't be so stupid as to think that this kind of behavior, these kinds of decisions, would lead to anything other than divorce and a broken family. She is beautiful, smart. Our marriage was wonderful until she started this affair. I accepted that life changes and had already processed it. She, on the other hand, is now pretending that she loves me, that she wants us to stay together and save the family. What motivation could she possibly have at this point to create such drama? What could she gain from it? Does she seriously expect that we'll try to fix things? Is that really possible? This must be some kind of plan, but I can't figure it out. I have a lot of proof of her affair. And in my country, I live in Europe, this likely means she won't be entitled to any alimony. Is that what she's afraid of? Is she afraid I'll tell everyone about what she did? Maybe she's trying to make me feel sorry for her so that I never tell what she did. Her lover is married. Maybe she's afraid I'll tell his wife. I just can't make sense of any of this. Anyway, I just needed to get all of this out. I hoped that once I put my thoughts into writing, everything would become clearer. But no, I'm just as confused as I was at the beginning of this monologue. Update: my cheating wife is driving me crazy. First of all, thank you all for the support. It was incredible. I didn't have the opportunity to reply to everyone, but I tried to read all the messages. I wrote my first post 3 days after the conversation with my wife, and I barely slept. Honestly, I passed out right at my computer while reading messages. When I woke up the next day, my face had an interesting pattern from the keyboard, but my mind felt much clearer. I decided to make lists of pros and cons on key points. I hung several sheets of paper on the wall, each with a heading: our children, how to behave when meeting my wife, my marriage, Monica, questions for my wife, and so on. The final document is too large to describe fully here, so I'll only touch on the main points. My goal was to understand which principles are most important to me and what I should focus on. Then I went through each point and evaluated whether I could achieve meaningful results, and what would count as a meaningful result in each case. Children, they are my top priority. I will increase my efforts to help them cope. More individual and family therapy. I will organize trips, spend more time with them, create new memories. I will surround them with love and support. I will talk to their teachers, coaches, and everyone else who can support them. I want their support to be immediate and everywhere. I took an STD test and also scheduled a DNA test for the children. Just the thought that they might not be mine makes me uncomfortable, but I have to do this for their sake. If they aren't mine, there could be some medical history they need to know. And what if, when they grow up, they want to find their biological father? How will they look at me if I do nothing now? I will worry until I get a definitive answer. After I spoke privately with their therapist, we discussed everything openly and calmly together with the children. We explained the situation and allowed them to ask any questions they wanted. I repeated again and again that they can come to me with any problem. I am their father. I love them more than anything in the world. And I will always be there for them, no matter what. As for my marriage, I concluded that I will never be able to trust my wife again. Without trust, it is impossible to build a relationship. I also realized that I no longer love my wife. I don't love the person she has become. My love for her was once a huge part of me, but she destroyed it with her affair. It completely changed my perception of her. Maybe I could learn to love her again, but for that, I would have to want it. And honestly, I don't. It's better to end this and move on with life. I don't want this marriage. I don't want this relationship. And the part of me that loved her, the part that once felt endless joy and happiness thinking about her, is now filled with fear and painful memories. Any thought of a connection with her now causes me serious discomfort. Divorce is inevitable, and I want to finish it as quickly as possible. As for Monica, I talked to her a lot. I had certain doubts based on the comments you gave me. Maybe it's not the best idea to jump straight into a new relationship. I also didn't want to drag her into this chaos, let's be honest. My life is a complete mess right now. She didn't agree with me. She said that life is messy in general, and why not see how we handle it together by dating. I found out why she had never been married. It turns out she was engaged, but her fiancé died in a workplace accident almost 5 years ago. It was a huge blow to her. Although she went on a few dates after that, she couldn't form a deep connection with any man. From her point of view, life is short, and you need to take risks when a real chance appears. I explained that I don't want to start anything new while I'm not officially divorced. I don't want to cheat, even technically. She agreed and respected that. We also discussed how it might look from the outside if we suddenly started openly dating. People could easily portray it as if Monica destroyed a happy marriage. I don't want that. She agreed, and we decided to wait some time after the official divorce before starting anything. I'm incredibly drawn to Monica. This phone conversation was already bordering on emotional cheating, so I decided not to contact her anymore until the divorce is finalized. We agreed that I would sort out my life, contact her when I'm ready, and then we would decide what to do next. When it came to meeting my wife, I wrote myself several principles I wanted to follow in that meeting. I promised myself to make every effort to be the person I was before this whole nightmare. I decided that I needed to remain calm. I would try not to be cruel and would remember that the goal of this conversation was to move forward so that we could co-parent our children as well as possible. At the same time, I prepared a list of questions to try to understand what she was thinking when she started the affair and what she thinks about the future. I wasn't going to be hypocritical. I wasn't going to give her false hope of reconciliation for the sake of a marriage contract or any advantage during the divorce. I decided to act as fairly as possible. We would split all assets equally. We would have joint custody 50-50ths. Despite what she did to me, I will not use her behavior as a model. I will act in a way that I can be proud of today, tomorrow, and in 20 years. I hate her for what she did to me, to us, to our children, but I love the memories of the good times we had. I love our children, whom we created and raised together. I will try to remember her in that light, not in the light of her affair. I cannot carry hatred in my heart. At some point, I will have to forgive her in order to move on. Before her affair, I think we had a genuinely good marriage. We had sex almost every day. We spent a lot of quality time together. We hardly ever fought. We willingly sacrificed a lot for each other. I was very open with her until I found out about the affair. I believed she was open with me too, but now her actions show that she wasn't. Saturday came and I went to see her. Her sister warned me that she was in bad shape and she wasn't wrong. My wife looked terrible. Red eyes, swollen face, unkempt hair. She looked much smaller than I remembered, as if she had collapsed inward. I doubt she had slept or eaten that week. We all sat down, and she was almost uncontrollable. I felt a strange calm. I felt sympathy for her obvious pain, but not as a loving husband. I felt her pain the way I would feel the pain of an actor in a movie that moved me. I don't know how to explain it, but it confirmed that I probably no longer love her. I just sat and waited for her to gather the strength to start talking. She tried several times, but each time she broke down into tears again. Looking at her, it was clear that this wasn't an act. I had seen her cry before, but never like this. Yes, people can fake crying, but I doubt anyone can fake the look of someone who has been sobbing for a week straight, with snot and bubbles. When she finally started talking, it was like a dam breaking. She apologized almost every other word. Surprisingly, she didn't try to justify herself or shift the blame onto me. Her sister was also crying and occasionally scolding her. It became clear that her sister had warned her this would happen. Apparently, her sister had lost her own fiancé a year ago. I didn't know this. My wife's sister's infidelity caused some kind of midlife crisis in my wife. She started thinking a lot about infidelity herself. In the end, it seemed she did it because she fell in love with that man, got carried away, and couldn't restrain herself. She never believed I would find out or that anyone would be hurt. It was a purely selfish decision. According to her, she was quite happy in our marriage but convinced herself that she deserved this flirtation, and that if I found out how happy she was at that time, I would support her choice. She assured herself that the affair would end and that we would all return to a happy family life. She had no idea that I knew everything. Only when I started distancing myself did she begin to think something was wrong. I found out that she had broken things off with her lover about a month and a half ago. The euphoria from the affair began to fade. She gave me her phone to check. It was locked. When I unlocked it, messages poured in dated from a month and a half ago. Messages she had ignored until the day I sat her down to talk. Until that day, she was sure we would find a way to fix everything and that our marriage would become even stronger than before. When I looked into her eyes during our conversation, she understood that this was the end. Reality hit her like a ton of bricks. I asked her questions, mostly about what in her mind gave her the right to do this to us, to our children. In the end, it was pure selfishness on her part. I understood, as many of you said, that I would never get the answers I was looking for because they don't exist. There is no acceptable reason for cheating, so I will never receive an acceptable explanation. Nevertheless, I got a strange sense of closure. I explained to her how deeply she hurt me, how unimaginable the pain she caused me was. I made her acknowledge her guilt in the destruction of our marriage and in the fact that our children will now grow up in a broken family. That gave me a strange sense of peace. She had read everything she could find about rebuilding a marriage after infidelity. She had a fully prepared written confession, signed and formatted for me. I didn't read it, I just handed it to my lawyer. She begged again and again for a second chance, said she was ready to do anything. I said I don't believe her. In fact, I don't believe a single word she says anymore. I simply can't trust her. She asked what she could do to fix this. I said she was the one who broke everything. If she herself doesn't know how to fix it, how can she expect me to provide a solution? I asked what she would answer if she were in my place. After a long discussion, she admitted that if the situation were reversed, she probably wouldn't be able to forgive either. I said I had taken an STD test and that I planned to do DNA tests on the children. When she heard that, she completely broke down, cried for 20 minutes. She swore that this was the only time she ever cheated or did anything like this. But after another discussion, she admitted that I had no reason to believe her and that if she were in my place, she would do the same. I asked whether the lover's wife knew about the affair. She said no, but agreed that the woman deserved to know the truth. I asked who should tell her or me. She asked whether I would consider reconciliation or couples therapy if she told the lover's wife. I answered no, but added that it might slightly restore my respect for her. She promised to tell the lover's wife and also confess everything to everyone else, including HR. I again said I didn't really believe her. She swore she would never be with anyone else again and would never stop trying to win me back, even if it took her entire life. I didn't believe her, but I stayed silent. Everything turned into a meaningless repetition of the same phrases. She offered me a one-sided open marriage, full access to all her communications, 24/7 availability. I said I had talked to Monica and that I was waiting because I didn't want to cheat, and I didn't want open relationships. That would hurt her, and I don't want to hurt other people the way she hurt me. I also added that I don't want to be her warden, constantly monitoring and suspecting her. That's not normal for a healthy relationship. I'm not interested in intimacy without a deep emotional connection. Sex purely for mechanical release has no value to me. If I need physical release, I can handle that myself. I don't need a partner for that. By that point, we were all exhausted. Our conversation lasted more than 5 hours, and my wife cried almost the entire time, from moderate crying to full-blown hysterics. There was nowhere left to go. Everything had been said. I told her very clearly that the love I once felt for her is dead. I no longer recognize the person she has become. Our family was destroyed by her hands, and I will see the divorce through to the end. I said she cannot undo what she did. The only way to avoid this outcome was not to start the affair 7 months ago. I don't want our marriage back. I don't want her. I don't want more pain. I suggested cutting off communication for a while so that we could gain distance and perspective. I said that I had already filed and that my decision was final. We could start family therapy for co-parenting the children, but beyond that, I don't even want to see her. It was incredibly painful. She sobbed, repeating through tears, "No, no, no, please no, please no." When I stood up to leave, she started bleeding heavily from her nose. She reached for me but lost consciousness. I managed to catch her before she hit the floor. I took her to the hospital with her sister and stayed there until I knew she would be okay. Yesterday evening and today, my wife told everyone what she had done. The lover's wife called me this morning to confirm that my wife told her the truth. I sent her copies of some evidence. I just found out that she kicked her husband out of the house. She wants to meet and see the rest of the evidence. She had suspected something for a long time but had no solid proof. I suggested meeting for dinner tomorrow. She wanted to talk on the phone, but I'm not sure I can handle that right now. I'll be honest, I feel like a piece of shit. I can't sleep. Cracks are starting to appear in my resolve. I know I need to stay strong, but this is incredibly hard. Why do I feel guilty? Why do I feel responsible for trying to fix this? We can deceive ourselves for a while, but that probably won't work in the long run. Some of her friends and relatives are calling and cursing me, saying I should give her a second chance. But one question keeps spinning in my head. Why prolong the pain? Isn't it better to end this now so we can start healing and building new lives? That's it. Unfortunately, nothing spectacular. No revenge, no decisiveness, no peace, no happy ending, only more and more pain. My mind is in a dark basement right now. Honestly, I don't know what to do. So that's where the story ends. Therefore, I suggest that right now you write your opinion in the comments. What would you do in this situation? I think the situation isn't that simple, because my wife truly wanted to get the marriage back and was willing to sacrifice a lot for it. But then there's Monica, and how do you resist that? Thank you for watching this video until the end. Watch our previous video that you will see.